So, my name is Maurine. I'm the Assistive Technology Instructor here at New Vision. I work with people who have significant enough vision loss that they need to have audible feedback as to what is happening on the screen, what is happening on any of their devices. I was diagnosed with retinopathy of prematurity. It was called retrolental fibromatosis. They changed the terminology. I used to know and I don't anymore when they actually changed it to what it is now, which is retinopathy of prematurity, which is easier to say and makes more sense. So I was born in 80 and I was early enough at 25 weeks that they had to give me oxygen all the time to keep me alive. Weighed a pound and 4 ounces, dropped to 15 ounces twice. And at that point, we knew there was going to be vision loss because the retina specialist that I saw continuously until he retired saw me shortly after I was born and said, that their retina in the right eye had not even developed. And the retina in the left eye, they really couldn't tell for sure. As of right now, there's no vision to speak of.
Can you share a little bit about what it was like growing up with vision loss? Did you go to a special school? Did you go to public school? Did you learn Braille as a child?
I love your questions. So, yes, I was mainstreamed in a public school K through 12. I was in a
What state were you in?
I was in Ohio,
Okay.
and I had usable vision so much back then that I would walk around town. I would ride my bike. I, was all over the place, and everyone knew. They're like, "Watch out! Don't hit her." And that was a blessing and a curse because as I got older and would get more, exploring more, which there was literally we had we had three streets that went parallel to each other, and we had two or three streets that were perpendicular to those or that crossed through those. That was it. That was it. That's all we had. So as I would ride my bike and go all over the town, my parents would get phone calls. Which is why I hate your daughter. Okay.
So the town was familiar with your
They
condition.
knew
Were you
me.
legally blind as a child?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you were getting services at public school, outside of public school, or?
So keep in mind that I was in school in mid 80s to I graduated in 2000. And because it was such a small area, we had contractors that did all of our VI work.
Okay.
So there was no, agencies like ours didn't exist. I was very fortunate in that they were called supplemental service teachers back then. They're now our TVIs, our teachers of visually impaired. She recognized that the eye condition that I have could progress.
Okay.
And so, with that knowledge, she said right away, we need to teach Braille as well as print. And that's what happened. So, starting in kindergarten, I started to learn Braille as well as print.
Did you always feel independent, or was there a turning point? Were there any experiences that helped build that confidence?
Yes. So I, like most kids and teenagers, the cane was evil. Who in their right mind would give a teenager a cane and be like, here, now you get to even be more different from your peers because you're going to learn to use this white cane. And I was like, no. And in 2000, I met and began working with my first guide dog. And so that started me on that journey. And I worked 4 dogs up until 2011. And then when my last dog became sick with allergies and had to be retired from guide work, my plan had always been, I'm going to get another guide because again, that made sense in my head, but that's not making sense right now, and that's because I've come around to the point of, you know what, my cane skills are okay. I won't, necessarily get killed, um, which is good.
That's the goal,
I know,
right?
right? So yeah, absolutely. The turning point was, literally picking up that harness handle for the first time and giving that forward command, and not having to worry about obstacles in the way, not having to worry about curves, not having to worry about veering in a street crossing.
And do you think that even after having a guide dog, you learned independence and confidence from
Sure,
having that
absolutely,
dog even without
absolutely, yeah. Because let's face it, when you have a cane, people are gonna walk right by you. They're
you have a
gonna walk
dog,
right
people
by
want
you.
to come right up to
You have a dog, and
you.
they're gonna be all over you, and you're gonna be like, "Go away, my dog, don't touch me."
Pivoting a little bit
Yes.
away from service dogs, but it's all good. What do you wish people understood about ROP?
So I think probably the biggest thing that I would say, and I think this kind of goes for blindness in general or vision loss in general, is there's so many misconceptions. If someone says that they are blind, people automatically think they see absolutely nothing and it's totally black to them. And that's not the case. On the flip side, if someone says they're visually impaired or they're low vision, that really throws people who aren't in the field because they can get really frustrated and not understand why one day the person may be able to see 3 feet ahead of them and navigate with no problems, and the next day they may be not able to see anything. So yeah, I think that I mean, I would not lump into one basket. And what I mean by that is, I would not say, oh, if someone says they're blind or low vision, they can't see anything, or they can see a bunch and it's all standard across the board. Absolutely no. Vision loss is a spectrum, blindness is a spectrum. You can go from people who are 20/40 all the way to people who have nothing and everything in between. And to lump people into one basket, if you will, is not fair. And everyone tends to generalize, and I think it probably goes across the board for any disability. That generalizations are made, and
I
it's
think
it's
so.
not fair. It's not fair, and I always say I would rather people ask the questions and let me give the answers and educate than to walk around and make assumptions and wonder what I can and can't do.
And then last question. Is there anything that you would want to say to the parents of a child who is diagnosed with ROP today?
So I would, it's not a death sentence. It's not, is it going to be a journey? Absolutely. Are you encouraged? And I would encourage you to go into it with as an open mind as possible, because there's going to be a lot thrown at you. There's going to be a lot of changes happening potentially. Vision can change. Um, Technology changes all the time. So, what was available 5 years ago may not be available now because it's outdated, and stuff has to keep up. But, go to the doctor's appointments, do your research. You cannot not have enough knowledge. Knowledge is power. And by knowing what you're up against and by having some ideas of what you're up against, um, you're going to be in a much better position. I would also say to reach out to an agency like ours. We have babies programs, we have kids programs, teens programs. And I would also say that, again, using social media would really come in handy at that point. And be your kid's advocate. Be your kid's advocate. Let them advocate as well as they get older. Show them through modeling what advocation is about. But give them that voice and not to be afraid of it. So many times it's scary. It is absolutely scary. But so many times I get the sense that people think vision loss is, and they do. They do. I mean, they've done studies, and people are more terrified, and the disability that they never want to have happen to them is blindness. And that's been a thing for a while now. But um, it's not a death sentence. It's not something that your child is going to not be able to do anything because they are low vision or because they have no vision. And I'll wrap up with this. My parents were told when I was born and came home from the hospital, I had two older sisters, and my parents were told, treat her like you do your other two daughters. But I have a lot of the social skills that some people may or may not have because parents and adults in the kids' lives immediately go to the worst case scenario, which is my child's not going to be able to do anything because they have vision loss or because they have no vision. So I'm going to shelter them and do everything for them. That's the biggest handicap you can do. Biggest handicap you can do. There's You're not going to break your child by letting them explore. You're not going to break your child by giving them stuff and saying, figure out how this works. Figure out what this is. Not going to break them.